So surprise, surprise, the Iranians can't be trusted. Who would have thought? Who'd have thunk it, huh? Trump just literally days after agreeing to this memorandum of understanding with the Iranians, peace in our time. Guess what happens? They start shooting at cargo ships and the whole thing comes crashing down. Let's have a listen to what President Trump had to say.
We attacked very powerfully last night the very dangerous people from Iran. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. We said, go and do your funeral stuff. And instead of that, they start shooting rockets at ships yesterday. And so we hit them very hard last night, very hard. I would say 20-1, 20 times tougher. And I told them every time you hit, we hit. And of course, they're dirty players, so they go after everyone, probably including me. I've been number one on their list for years. And they're a bunch of scum, you want to know the truth. They're scum. And so we don't like them. I don't like them. And they're evil people, and it's the denuclearization of Iran. And we're going to denuke it. We're not going to let them because they're crazy, and they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they go around killing people. They've killed thousands and thousands of our soldiers. They've killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people. They had the roadside bomb, Soleimani. I took care of him, first term. And that was a big thing because I think they probably would be a lot stronger had he been around because he was a bad guy, but he was an evil genius, but a bad guy. And he was the father of the roadside bomb. The roadside bomb is a bomb that goes on when you're driving your little vehicle around, and it goes on and you have no legs, no arms, and no face. And they've killed thousands and thousands of people. Even the SS Cole was theirs, if you remember that disaster. So I don't like them at all. And frankly, I think we waste a lot of time with them. I think we should just do our business. Can you imagine? They start shooting bombs, actually missiles at ships yesterday. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, a couple of others. And they don't. I don't think they know what the hell they're doing. But they're bad people, very bad people. I think they're incompetent, by the way. Because if they were competent, they would have made a deal a long time ago. Like, how about 47 years ago?
But this is the thing. This is the thing. It's like President Trump and Vance and Kushner and others are looking at Iran and expecting to see rational behavior. And this is what I was thinking when I was seeing this memorandum of understanding. You know, Vance saying, look, at the end of the day, we all want to prosper, we all want to do well. No, that's not what they want. They want nuclear apocalypse. They want the destruction of Israel and America because of their fantastical theological beliefs about creating some kind of apocalypse that will give them this eternal paradise in the hereafter. That is the way they're operating. When you understand that, their actions, are crazy, but they're not crazy to them, and they make complete sense. And this is the fundamental mistake that President Trump and others seem to be laboring in, thinking that they just act like rational players. So Trump, understandably, now basically when asked, is this memorandum of understanding over, has this to say.
Jared Kushner, but they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal, and he goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo.
Why is he so surprised? They're not cuckoo. They're just ideologically extreme. They have theological, perverse Islamist beliefs. They're so frustrating. It's almost alarming that this isn't obvious.
As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
These talks won't resume after we get through the funeral proceedings. Does this mean that talks with Iran will not resume?
I don't care. They can talk, but I think they're wasting their time. They're a bunch of lying guys. I do my whole life. That's all I do is deals. My whole life that's how I became president. I guess that's a deal too, right? But I made a lot of money. I had a lot of great success, tremendous success. Everything I did, I was successful. And I deal with these guys, and I say, this is from a different school. They're liars, they're cheats, they're sick people.
Because this is the fundamental problem that Brigitte Gabriel was saying on my interview with her just a few days ago. I highly recommend you check that out. Just search Brigitte Gabriel J-TV into YouTube. She said the problem is the Trump administration is dealing with Iran like they're doing some kind of property deal. With property deals, you have two people with similar interests. They want money, wealth, property, real estate, power. But that's not what these Iranians are driven by. They're driven by a desire for paradise in the afterlife. They're operating under an entirely different paradigm, an entirely different premise. Again, so concerning that this isn't obvious to President Trump, that this isn't obvious to J.D. Vance. I think one person that does sort of get it is Marco Rubio, but he's less vocal right now. I wonder why that is.
They've hurt their people. They killed 54,000 people as of now that were protesting. When people say, how come they haven't taken over? They can't take over because they're dead. They killed them. Nobody's going to take over. They have no guns, and the other side has machine guns. And they're killing them. The press doesn't report it. But they're bad people. They're bad people. And frankly, I don't want to waste my time with them. Now, I'll let our wonderful negotiators keep talking if they want, but I don't see it. I don't like these people. You know that? I like him. I like the leaders. I think all of these leaders.
Great. And they love him.
I think they didn't treat the United States fairly for many years, but that's okay. But they're sane, rational, good people. Most of them. I don't like a couple of them, to be honest with you. But there are a couple I don't like much.
Just bizarre. Why is he so surprised when he says, I don't like them. I'm so shocked that they're lying to me. They're literally saying, down, down with America, death to America. What, are you expecting them to like you? Yeah, this is very different to your dislike or, relationship with other European leaders or people in other parts of the world. So disturbing that they can't see this. Let me show you a clip of Brigitte Gabriel on Newsmax responding to all of this, because she understands what it seems too many people in the Trump administration are not seeming to understand.
Well, I'm glad we are striking them. Look, this is the second time that Iran breaks the agreement for the ceasefire. And obviously, we are seeing a two different understanding of the MOU on the Iranian side and from what we believe on our side. You've got J.D. Vance telling the American public as soon as the MOU came out that, the Iranians are being belligerent. Yeah, they're talking like that, but they have to talk like that because they are talking to a different audience. Well, now we are seeing that the actions of the Iranians, not the talk, aligns exactly what the Iranian IRGC has been saying all along. We don't like this MOU. We're going to continue fighting you. We don't want to have peace with you. And so you are seeing the results of that. And this is exactly why President Trump cannot go easy on the Iranians. We've got to strike hard to basically deter them because what they are trying to do is drag America into a fight because they know that Trump cannot afford to lose the midterm election. Here we are on the final stretch to the midterm. They want to increase gas prices, which, by the way, we saw the increase this afternoon just because of what happened today. And that's exactly what the Iranians want.
There you go. There's a very Western problem where we don't take our enemies seriously. We had this problem in World War II. People said beforehand, partly because of the fatigue of World War I, Hitler doesn't really mean that. He doesn't really want domination of Europe and beyond that. He doesn't really want the annihilation of the Jews and all that kind of stuff. It's just posturing. He's just a bit upset about how Germany was treated after World War I. He's got a bruised ego, blah, blah, blah. Well, he did mean it. He was serious, and he doesn't think the way that, let's say, other people in the West think or other leaders in the West think. And this is the mistake we're making again. It's called normalcy bias. Assuming that things can't really be that bad, things are going to be normal, they can't really actually want nuclear apocalypse. Trump has the sense to understand they cannot get a nuclear weapon because he knows they would use it. But then he needs to follow through precisely on that thinking. Why would they use it? No, it's not just because they want to dominate the world and assert themselves on the world stage. It's because of their crazed theological views. And not understanding that plainly is what's leading to this stupid cycle of we're going to hit them hard. They hit us, we hit them. Well, I'm not dealing with them anymore. The memorandum of understanding is over, but I'm going to send my negotiators to keep talking with them. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's time to just say, enough is enough. This regime has to go. Respect them enough to say that they mean what they say. I don't know why we have this inability to do that so often. We have to explain away our enemy's behavior. It's almost a bigotry of, not low expectations, but a bigotry of, I project my worldview onto you because I think you must operate the same way that I do. It's so narrow-minded, actually. People often try to say that I'm the narrow-minded one, thinking that you really think Iran mean what they say, death to America. That's just to control their population. They are totally, self-interested, thinking about just their own prosperity and control and power. I've no doubt that is part of the truth. But at the end of the day, I do think that they genuinely believe this stuff. They have a whole society that's built on that premise. And history shows us that people can be deeply ideologically driven, and it can be by some kind of religious or theological craziness. The thing that a lot of the pragmatists and the Kushners and others think is, come on, people are so self-interested. They are self-interested, but what they're self-interested in is the promise of their reward in the afterlife. That's selfish, by the way. They are thinking selfishly. And by the way, from a Jewish perspective, that's not serving God. Serving God is when you think about, how can I do something for God's sake, not for my sake, not for my reward. And God tells us he wants to come down into this world, not for us to try and get up to heaven. But that's the flaw. That is the great flaw in their mentality. But at the end of the day, they believe it. So, Jared Kushner, they do believe it. They genuinely are selfish, yes. But what's the selfishness coming from? Not just for power and control here. It's for their afterlife rewards. And until that is understood, we're never going to be able to fully have the will to cripple this regime into non-existence. This regime. For more on the Jewish philosophy of the afterlife, serving God, what we're actually here for, what heaven and hell looks like and all that stuff, which is so thwarted in this world, which is so twisted, we created a documentary called Heaven and Hell, the radical Jewish view that changes everything, on our JTV Plus subscription platform, which has a whole host of documentaries. I'll play the trailer for you now, and if you want to watch the full thing, just click on the link below in the video description. Across the world, the afterlife is described in simple terms. Heaven above, hell below, the devil waiting to tempt you, and a humanity born in original sin. But Judaism tells a story that is older, deeper, and far more hopeful. Less obsessed with fear and more rooted in purpose. A story where the soul is not born guilty, but born noble. Where the body is not the enemy, but the partner. Where the devil isn't God's rival, but his assistant, because Judaism has no second power. Where hell exists, but not forever. Where heaven exists, but not as the final destination. And where the real end of the human story is resurrection, not escape. Judaism views history as a mission, not a mistake. Other civilizations teach that we are here to earn our way into heaven. Judaism teaches that we are here to bring heaven down to earth. And to understand what happens after we die, we first have to understand why we're here in the first place. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to reveal the Jewish vision of life after death. One of the most misunderstood ideas, but if understood correctly, can transform your very understanding of life itself. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.